Is there a meeting today or not? I prefer not.
No, I probably not because we have a change management meeting at 9:30. But Lauren, so I'm assuming not.
Why am I working at FMH straight?
Oh, I have it on my list. Let me see if I know.
Well, I've been talking more shit.
Hey, Kelly. Hey, Justine.
Good morning. How are you?
Okay. A little stressed today, but that's I'll be fine.
I feel your pain. We're all in it together.
Trying to get everything done, right?
Oh yeah, just every time I think I'm sort of ahead, something else happens. I agree. Thanks for fixing my login. I think what had happened was it was supposed to be put as a phlebotomist to mimic for the device testing, which didn't end up happening on Friday. So
All right.
I think that's why it went to phlebotomist.
Yeah, I think it was set up for the device testing.
Yeah.
We'll just wait for everybody to join. Oh, good. I see Kyle's here.
Yes, good morning.
So, Laura Weber won't be joining us today. She's on PTO. Andrew's also on PTO today. And Rachel. So I'm like on my own today. We have items in the agenda. I want to give it till about 4 minutes in, see if we can get some more people to join. And then we'll get started. The meeting is recorded, so anybody who's not here can certainly go back and look at the recording.
I'm a camera guy, so I'm gonna go on camera.
Oh, no worries. Makes us all feel safe now. Thanks,
Yeah.
Scott. We can see you. Where's that scene from?
That is east coast of Mexico.
Oh, you're kidding. Oh.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's the east coast of Canada, which it does.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, it looks just like it. Like I laugh, I say it is an east coast, it's just not in Canada.
Well, it's beautiful. Thank you. I have an east coast of North Carolina I usually put in to mine, and everybody wonders if it's Caribbean or something. I'm like, no. All
I'd
right.
also go on camera too if I had that head of hair.
Okay.
That's funny.
All right. It is 3 minutes after. In the interest of time, I'm going to get started. People will join in as they can. Hey, Kim.
Hi,
Um,
sorry, I'm having issues with Teams. I'm joining by phone today.
No worries. We are recording today, so if you want to go back and see the demo when you get your Teams fixed, that's certainly allowable. Off the top of my head, I can't remember where we post the recording. It's somewhere in the library. I know it's been told where the recordings are posted. Feel free to go. Our agenda for today, as I said, Andrew is sailing somewhere or in Italy or something. He's on PTO, so I'm running the meeting today. The agenda for today, if I can get back to it, is we have Kyle here who's going to do a demo of CPOE using a power plan. And then if time allows, I can do a quick demo on the EQA registration and entering of orders. So with that being said, Kyle, are you ready to take the screen and do your demo?
Yeah, can I make one request, Kim?
Mhm.
Would everybody be able to put where you're from in the chat? I like to know who I'm talking to.
You mean facility or actual location?
Like facility, your title, whatever you feel comfortable sharing with me, just so I know who my audience is. Oh, I know Jason.
Yeah, these are all, everybody here is lab from the facilities. I have no facility. I'm the workflow lead. Kyle, you know that.
Yeah. All right, we got almost everybody here then.
Yeah.
By the looks of it. Okay. All right, I'll share the screen here.
Kim Kehoe is from Perth Smith Falls.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she dialed in. Yeah. All right. I just chose a random patient. It is a KHSE patient. I'm going to start right from scratch. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to order. For the longest time, we were still referring them to order sets because that's how the region refers to them. But in hindsight, we probably should have been calling them power plans from the start because just to get everybody used to the language going forward. So I'm going to open a order set / power plan. The one I chose today was the ED lab sepsis subphase. So a subphase is a smaller order set that can be embedded into a larger order set. But the unique part about it is that it can also be ordered on its own in case you've already done, say, an admission order set and the patient deteriorates, it doesn't force you to go back through the admission order set to select the subphase that you need. You can order it on its own there. So this one I picked because it's strictly lab and meant for the ED for sepsis workup. So as you can see, not all of the labs are pre-checked. So the journey of a order set / power plan goes, so we engage the subject matter experts if we have the appropriate subject matter experts. If not, we have two committees or working groups that they go through. So the first one is the CPOE working group that has members from all different disciplines. And then the second is the regional order set committee. And that is the final committee that it goes through before it's approved and can be submitted into Lumio. So the good thing about that is that we have Joanne Sidorchuk. She's the director of lab and radiology at Brockville. She sits on both committees. And the good thing about that is that she's been very diligent with sending it to the Southeast Lab Alliance for review. So this specific ED lab sepsis subphase, I went back and I pulled the review history, and this one was, so this one order set was reviewed by Dr. Olchuk, Dr. Good, and Dr. Tumulty. And they all reviewed it in the CPOE working group, and I believe Dr. Good re-reviewed it once it went to the regional order set committee, which is great because it makes sure it keeps us honest and we put the appropriate changes in. Pardon me. Okay, so we have the pre-checked labs, but we also have a few extra ones depending on the patient presentation. So I'll just scroll through. I won't click on any extra at this time for this demo. We'll have the CBC, the prothrombin INR, partial thrombus and time. And then you have your cultures to try to figure out the source of the infection. So a provider would then just hit initiate now. Once they're satisfied with the ones, that'll give them one other option to review, and you can see the light bulbs are the ones that were checked. So this gives the provider one more chance to look through to make sure that they've ordered appropriately, and then they can order for signature. They can sign it, and then it'll for a provider it'll say processing, please refresh, and then you just refresh. And then it shows the components of that subphase that were ordered. And then that stays on the patient's chart too for nursing. And I'm not 100% sure. Kim will have to help me on the lab part on how they view that, because that part I can only speak to the providers, nursing and ancillaries, what they can see.
None of the lab positions will have visibility.
They'll just see it once it's ordered, once it goes through.
Right, and they will see the icon, the order set
That it's-
icon, that it
Okay.
originally came from a power plan.
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
guess I should have showed that icon, apologies, but it was that little yellow box with the different colored shapes in it. That's what indicates that it was ordered through a power plan, opposed to just ordering a one-off lab ad hoc. It wouldn't show that little orange square. I'm not sure if there's anything else people would like to see, but that was pretty much the extent of my demo.
The only other thing that I will add from a lab perspective, so inside your order sets, you put all the available orders, and depending upon where the patient is registered, they may see a different, be offered a different set of orders based on the virtual views that we have set up inside PathNet.
Yep.
Kelly's got her hand up.
Yeah, I just wondered, I see they're all ordered as routine. And I assume because it's emerged, they're ordered by collect by nurse, but is there an option for the doctor to change that quickly or easily?
Yes. So let me put in I'm just gonna order an ad hoc one because I've already ordered these ones. So just give me 1 second, I'll open up the OES so you can take a look. I'm just gonna do a CBC, and I'll get a duplicate alert for this one, so you'll see that. Yeah, so you got your specimen type is blood collection priority. So they have the option to do an AM draw. This is mostly for inpatients. So say that they want, they've done, what's a good example? I'm probably going to pick a terrible one, but say they did a venous blood gas that evening, and they wanted to order another one to see any changes. They could click on the AM draw, and then that would automatically go to the phlebotomist task list to collect in the morning, unless it's ICU. I believe if it's ICU, then it goes to nurse collect. You have your high, routine, stat, and a time study. And then the frequency is once. This should only ever be once. We've stressed to providers that repeat labs should be done with a frequency should be done sparingly. We haven't actually put any repeat labs in power plans because the messaging we want for providers is that they should be reassessing the patient before reordering a lab. That being said, we're really trying to be in line with the quintuple aim. And actually this started in triple aim, I think, was the mitigating cost of the healthcare system. And unnecessary laboratory result is a good way. That's why we make sure that it gets sent to the CELA group and that, so that we can make sure that we're falling in line with the choosing wisely guidelines, because there's some ground to be gained in that arena, I believe. But yeah, right here, the nurse collect is a simple yes, no. If it's no, then it will go to phlebotomy. If it's yes, it goes to nurse collect. And Kim can correct me if I'm wrong, but most labs that are ordered through the emergency department will, I believe, default to stat and will default to nurse collect. So even if the provider doesn't click this, I believe it'll still go to the nurse's task list to collect. Is that correct,
Yeah,
Kim?
I believe if you have a patient registered to an ER department, that's what's set up in the system, yes.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, and pardon me.
But that power plan order set didn't default to stat nurse collect. That's what I was
No,
getting at.
yeah, it defaults, or I wonder if I can open up into the nurse view and show you. And that whole defaulting to, I'm not able, that's not within my realm of control. I have to lean on Kim for that one.
The defaulting is not necessarily in our realm of control either.
Oh,
We were told
okay.
we have what we have. The only flexing that we know of is the ER.
Okay. Yeah.
I have a follow-up question, Kyle. So inside the power plan, they're offered those order sentences. Can they adjust them in the power plan, or they would have to do a one-off order?
They can adjust them. Yeah. So the order sets are modifiable. They're not like, this is the wrong use of words, but it works, but they're not hard coded. So if if the patient presentation varies slightly, because we try to make the order sets fit within the 80-20 rule, so it's going to work for 80% of the patient population, but we recognize that there is 20% of that population that will deviate from that, so there is some room to modify the order sentences based on the patient presentation.
Okay, so if I'm using that ED power plan and I need my whatever stat as opposed to routine, I can adjust that inside that power plan before I submit the order.
Correct. Yeah, because we were told very early on to default all the lab orders to routine, and then they can be upped to stat, because I forget who said it. I think it was Gina Baseline. If everything is stat, nothing is stat.
Yes, you're correct.
Yeah.
So when
if
they're
everything,
when they're in the order set and they modify it, do they have to modify every individual test, or is the whole order set modifiable? That's what I'm.
They would have to modify the individual orders.
so the
So we'll
power
get
plan,
ordered as stat and some ordered as routine.
that
What's
could
that?
happen. That could happen. So she's saying some may be stat and some may be routine. That could happen. The order set that the physicians use is just an ease of ordering. I can't at an order set level say, make everything stat. I have to do that at the order level inside.
Yeah. And unless we get, feedback during the review process of if something is required to be stat opposed to routine, then it'll default to routine for now. Or we've defaulted it to routine is what I should say.
Donna's got a question. Donna?
Hi. Thanks for the demonstration. That's very helpful to see that. And I may have missed this. I got distracted by a call, unfortunately. So any of the ones that are in Emerge are all directed for nurses to be collecting?
That's my understanding. That's what I was told.
Okay. I guess for us, we have a 24/7 phlebotomy coverage.
Oh, you
in-
do?
Yep, in
Oh, that's
Emerge,
amazing.
and we collect the vast majority, unless probably it's a trauma or
Mhm.
recess type of situation or a massive hemorrhage protocol that comes into play. So I don't know what the process is and if there's been conversations, and maybe Kim, I don't know if you've been involved in some of the other groups. I'm wondering in the specimen collection group, I think there's one, whether there's like a workaround for that, like the phlebotomists go in as though they're a nurse and
Oh, so actually, yeah, so the nurse can still, if it goes to the nurse's task list, they can still delegate it to the phlebotomist. That was one of the things that I saw your hand go up, Jason, because I know Brockville has a phlebotomist, I think from 9 to 9. That was one of the variation in the region that we were trying to account for, because not every ED has a phlebotomist within. So there was a risk that if we defaulted it to the phlebotomist or to the nurse, there was a risk that the lab order might get missed. So the idea was that you're always going to have nursing in an ED, so it would go to the nurses, and then the nurses could then delegate to the phlebotomist to do the draw.
so I would hope then that the nurses are being informed of that, right? Like that. I can see a little bit of confusion. I'll follow up with
Yeah.
the manager that oversees the phlebotomy team
Yeah.
here at KGH and just go, so you know that's the way it's going to work. I mean, it's different at our other site. It is nurse collect 100% of the time,
Yeah.
unless they can't get the patient, and then they probably ask one of the phlebotomists to come from the specimen collection centers at Hotel Dieu.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. No problem.
And
Kelly?
whether it's nurse collect or it's lab collect, both sides can filter to see those orders.
Yeah, but the key is that they would have to filter to see. So in
Correct.
order to mitigate that potential risk, that's why we've gone this route for now.
Okay. Kelly?
I'm just wondering, because I don't see the collection run button on the top header there, but is it can our technicians who work in Emerge, because Quinny has some as well, that collect in Emerge, can they pull up the collection run tab and pull the Emerge and see who is awaiting collection and just use that to collect by as though they're a nurse?
I don't actually have the technician view, so I wouldn't be able to show that right now. But it looks like Kim was about to answer before I talked over her.
Nope, you're fine. So
Yeah.
the ER is not included in collection runs, are the collection runs that were submitted. So looking at a collection run, no, you're not necessarily going to see the ER in those runs.
Okay, so we're going to have to rely on the nurse to delegate it to the lab. And then how is the lab going to find out about it then, if it's not on our collection run?
What's the scenario again, Kelly? So is this within the emergency department or is this an inpatient?
No, so the emergency run or the emergency room,
Yeah.
physician orders, and we have a technician in the Emerge, and the nurse delegates the lab to go collect it, however they do that. Where does the technician find that if it's not in a collection run? How do I as an Emerge technician working today, how do I know to go and collect room 2 and what the orders are?
If you go into the collection view on that patient, you'll be able to see what
How do I know
orders.
that patient needs collected? That's
Well, you have to remember too that the system isn't going to replace the human aspect of that. So there is still going to need to be communication, like verbal communication amongst the team. That people aren't going to wait and look at the task list. Like in an emergency department, a lot of the times you'll have line of sight to the rest of your team, and they'll be able to tell people, I've got these labs here. Would you be able to collect them for me? And then they would be able to go into the system and then filter and then look at it that way.
So when they delegate it, can that send a message to the technician or something? Or
No.
because I don't want them printing the labels and bringing the labels to the technician. So how
You
are
print
they-
you print the
all just
labels
verbal?
when you print the labels when you collect it or just before you collect
Right.
it.
right?
So
Which
they're
is
not they're not handing you a label.
So what are they handing me? What is the paper trail that the technician needs to go collect?
They need a paper trail.
They either get a paper order now, or they get they get something on the tracker board that indicates that blood work is required on this patient, and they can pull up the tracker board. So when blood work's ordered, then they can go to that room, scan the ID, see what labs are ordered, and collect it. So they need something to alert them, either on the tracker board or on the collection run or something. They have to be notified, or a piece of paper.
Would it not be on their collection list? So if the nurse delegates it? I think
Just said
that's
it's
where,
not on the
I think
collection
that's, sorry.
They just said that the emerge is not on the collect, wasn't built to be on the collection run. So that's
It's
what I
not
saw.
on a it's not on a collection run, but you
Right.
might see it on a collection list. So it's not a scheduled thing. So it's semantics, I guess. I'm sorry. So it's not going to go to a schedule.
Right. But we should be able to click our collection run button in Power Chart, pull up the
Yeah.
unit emerge, and see who's waiting blood work, right? To be collected.
Yeah, I would think, yes, I think you can do that. There is also tracking boards that I'm going to assume, or I've seen in the past, the ER uses inside the FirstNet or Cerner application, and there is an icon for lab. Now, having the availability to pull up a tracking board in the lab, or a phlebotomist to pull up a tracking board, that's not functionality. I believe it's in your system right now. Not to say it couldn't be, but it's not there now. Is that helpful, or have I totally confused you, Kelly?
No, I think it's helpful. I think my first question about the collection runs, I think that's what we initially thought our emerge MLAs would be using, is we'll just be running that. We'll be using that collection runs button and putting in emerge, and that will tell us anything that's been ordered in emerge. But when you said it wasn't on a collection run, even though it's not on a scheduled run, we know that
Right.
we're continually be refreshing that collection, I guess, list in Power Chart for emerge. Like, you know what I
Yes.
mean? What collect one, we'll refresh it, and if there's another one there to go collect, we'll go collect it. And so as long as it shows up on that list, that's what we're teaching our MLAs, that probably how the ED will collect.
Yes, that should work, Kelly. Are there any other?
Kim
Oh, I'm
just
sorry.
Kim put something in the chat there from Portsmouth Falls.
Their workflow is a little bit different. So they require the ED to notify the lab.
No, Kim, is that current state? How the ED is that if they have a difficult poke and they require an MLA, then they would phone the lab?
I'm not sure if Kim's still here. I think she dropped. I'll follow up with her.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because they're that like type of workflow, like we want to make sure that people are still comfortable with the new system and the workflows, and that's why I wanted to stress that like that human to human connection is still very much apparent. So if they in Portsmouth Falls, if the ED require, or if the lab requires the ED to call them, and that's what they're currently doing, then there's nothing in the system that's going to stop them from doing that now.
Okay, I see Kim's here as a as a guest. Kim, can you hear us? Are you muted?
Oh,
Oh, you're breaking up. Your audio is not the greatest. I'll follow up with you later, Kim. All right. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate it. Again, so the virtual view, if an order is not virtual viewed to where a patient's registered, they're not going to see that order in a power plan. And our lab positions currently cannot order power plans or look at in process or uninitiated power plans. We only see the orders after all that work has been done. Oh, Kelly?
Sorry, I have one more question. And I probably know the answer, but just to make sure, there's no point of care order sets made, right?
There is a
They will
point of
all-
care communication order
Yeah.
that
Yes.
can be
Yeah.
placed,
They'll-
which
They'll use that for
generates.
every.
Yeah, they use that one order. It's a communication order. It generates a task telling the nurse that there is a point of care that needs to be done.
Okay, thanks.
If there are no more questions for Kyle, if you want to hang on, you can. Or thank you very much for your time.
no problem. I'm probably gonna leave. We are busy. So thanks everybody for having me. And yeah, Kim, reach out anytime if you have more questions about power plants.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. The
Bye now.
next presentation we have for today is the EQA. There were questions around EQA. I'm going to run through. Hopefully it didn't log me out. Okay. A quick demo on EQA. Insert. Hopefully this helps. Oh, hang on a second. I should share one piece of my screen. Got the agenda up. I have my email up. Almost there. Okay, I'm sharing my whole screen. I have an app bar up here. I'm logged in as a med tech. So I earlier today registered and placed an order on a patient for EQA. What you're going to do when you have your samples come in, by the way, I can't see if a hand is raised, so just let me know if, just call out. If you have a, I call them proficiency test or a challenge, I'm not sure what you call them in Canada, that comes in and you need to register it, you need to launch the anonymous registration conversation. The anonymous registration allows us to put numbers in. I have to search for some kind of patient. And then I can come down here and add a person. The facility that I'm going to use, I'm going to search for the facility name, all the Kingston ones, so K and an asterisk. Here's my EQA. I'm choosing that facility and it opens. I can put in my patient name, or, well, it's the sample name. So I'm just going to put the ZZZ in here. And I can put in 2024 as the last name, and the first name could be hematology 1 or anything you want. You can add a middle name. You do need to put a sex in. You do need to put in a date of birth. The patient type is going to default to outpatient. The facility is already filled out for me. Use this conversation for other registrations. So this subscriber information and health plan are going to be here. All I have to do is put in self. And then in the health plan, this does not go anywhere. We are not charging for this. I just pick self. And then I will get my patient. Now I can place orders on my patient, on this patient, this sample. I placed one earlier today. Choose my patient and whatever my order, whatever I'm going to run for this proficiency sample. It works like a regularly placing an order. Don't choose a real physician. I don't know if you want to choose a pathologist or what have you. Now, once I've placed this order, I'm going to, it's in a dispatch state. Well, this one's in process because I had that prompt. But a label will have printed, or I can print a label to put on the proficiency sample and put on my instrument. Is the other patient that I did earlier today. Once I've resulted it, I mean, it's just like a regular patient, I can see my result. I can call up a chart if I want to on that patient, on this patient that I've created perhaps for the beginning of the year, and each sample or each proficiency patient that I want to do. And that'll give me all my numbers for submitting my results. I don't need to actually print it. I can do a print preview and either print it from there or save it as a file. Now I can see my patient name if I made it something that is equivalent to the proficiency sample that is given to me. I can see my results and then submit those results. For each EQA location, the only people who will be able to see those EQA locations will be the people inside that lab. That's how we're going to divide it, so that I cannot look up a EQA patient from Kingston if I'm at Brockville. That's done through organization security. The ops team will have access to see all of them, but they're not running your proficiency samples. So, but they can assist if you run into difficulties with proficiency samples. That's my quick demo. Are there any questions?
It's Donna, Kim. I had a question whether or not the anonymous registration is also what we use for study patients.
If you have a patient who's, or if you have a patient who needs to be blinded any way, shape, or form, so may have a number in their name or is not a real patient, you can use the anonymous registration to get them registered. The study patients, I am not sure whether, I'm not sure if the research group's registering them or you guys are registering them. I'm not sure how they're going to register them, but you could use the anonymous if you want it to go essentially, nowhere. It just, you can pull reports that way.
So it wouldn't go into the patient's medical records, like there'd be, because they're anonymous. I guess that kind of
Right.
answers my question.
Well,
Okay,
they'll
thank
have, yeah, they'll have a anonymous medical record as their anonymous identity. They will have a medical record. So if I've got a patient who has been blinded, is blinded, I can continue to use that patient on a study through the course of the study. But that's not going to his real health card or EMR. It is a blinded information.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions for today? I am not sure. I have to reach out to Rachel and find out what our agenda is the next time we meet. We meeting weekly? Nope. Be 2 weeks. So I have to find out from Rachel what our agenda will be. Kim put a question in the chat. Are you limited to the proficiency patients? No, you can put as many patients as you want in there. There is no limit. When you do your first patient, or I would highly suggest that you come up with a naming convention that makes sense, that you could continue to use through the years. Do you have to discharge them? No, they're considered outpatients, so they're going to discharge at the end of the day, but you can add orders on a discharged patient. So whether they are discharged or not, you can, if you want to use the same proficiency patient for the whole year and just add orders at different times that you are presented with those samples, you could do that. Sometimes it takes a little while to figure out the best naming convention to keep everything organized, but once you figure that out, it's really nice. You can also use the EQA area for putting in patients that you're testing if you need to do a study on an instrument, a times 10 or a times 12 run or something like that, and you need to have a patient and you want to get a barcode, you could use that to put that on. The instrument, it's wide open as an organization to put for your use. It does not, I do not believe it sends charges, and I'm not sure what happens with workload. The anonymous registration is in the conversation launcher, which you can add to your app bar. It is an application called Conversation Launcher. You add it to your app bar, and when you open it, you'll see 2 registrations. You'll see the anonymous, and then you'll see the DI/lab registration. That's the regular registration that you get if you go from department order entry and need to add a person or add an encounter. That goes to that quick reg. The ZZZ is required for the cert domain. In prod, you don't necessarily need to use a ZZZ or ZZZ for you guys in Canada. I was doing that because I was in cert. All right, if there are no other questions today, we will end a few minutes early. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Truly appreciate it. The recording will, I believe, be in the library. If you have any follow-up questions, you can reach out to me and send me an email. And I will find out from Rachel what the agenda is for our next meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you.